and I believe the last problem. Circular saw blade. Look at your RPMs on saw blades and stuff next time you go in Lowe's and Home Depot. These things move on. They spin fast. A circular saw blade has an angular speed of 15,000 radians per minute. Be careful, that's an angular speed. That's not RPMs. That's what the first question asks us. How many revolutions per minute does it make? It travels at 15,000 radians per minute. How are you going to find the RPMs? How many radians is in 1 R? I guess you could say in the RPM. 1 revolution is how many radians? 2 pi. 2 pi. 6.28. 1 revolution is 2 pi radians. With me. But this is 15,000 radians. So how are we going to find out how many divided? And let me give you a picture here. 1 revolution around this thing is 2 pi. 6.28, but you have a bunch of pi's. You have 15,000 radians. 1 revolution, again, 6.28 if you want to do 2 pi. 1 revolution is 6.28 radians. So therefore we're going to take that 15,000, thank you, 15,000, and I encourage you, instead of using 3.14, divide it by 2 pi. Why did I put 2 pi in parentheses? It would divide it by 2 and multiply it by pi if you did. Does that make sense? If you just did divide it by 2 pi and didn't put it in parentheses, it would do that divided by 2. They would take that answer and multiply it by pi. That wouldn't be right. 2,387 RPMs. There's the first answer. I'm just going to work this down here. So 2,387 revolutions per minute. Each minute it spins around 2,387 times. Was that more than the one before? You remember what the revolutions was up here? That was only 200. So in 1 minute this thing's spinning over 2,000 times. B part says, how long will it take, and again, don't make these harder than what they are. It does that in 1 minute. How long would it take it to travel 6,000 revolutions? I don't know, would you? That's how many revolutions it travels in 1 minute. So think about it like this, about how many minutes should it take to travel 6,000? About 2 or 3. So are you going to multiply them? You're going to take 6,000 divided by 2,300, or actually 6,000 divided by your answer to give an exact one. 6,000 divided by the answer, 2.51 minutes. Yeah. So come in. If you actually wanted to do the whole, so therefore 2.5 minutes. If you want to change that to minutes, seconds, 2 minutes and a half a minute would be 30 seconds. Right at 2 minutes 30 seconds is how long it would take for 6,000 RPM. So there's A part, B part, C part. If the blade has a radius of 3 inches and a bug is sitting on the edge of the blade, how far will the yeah, I don't either. How far, if it could hang on, how far would the bug travel in 2 minutes? This is a pretty neat problem. So you got this saw blade. That's 3 inches, radius of 3 inches. So what if it just goes around one? Let's do this first. Circumference, pi d. What if it just went around once? Circumference would be 3.14. Again, I encourage you to use pi. 18.84 inches. So if it goes around one time, it's going around 18.84 inches. But in 1 minute, well, hang on. How far will it travel in 2 minutes? So we've got to think this through. In 1 minute, how many times did it spin? Yeah. First, multiply it by 2, because 2,387 is how many times it spins in 1 minute. But we need how many times it's going to spin in 2 minutes. So what I would do, you have 4,774. If you want to be exact about it, go back up where you got the 2387 and use the decimal. But what'd you say? 2 minutes is how many? 4,774 revolutions, revs, in 2 minutes. So that's how many times it's going to spin around, but we're not interested in how many times it's going to spin around. We want to know how far it's going to travel. Each time it spins around, how far does it go? That's the circumference. So you're going to take 4,000, and again, I'm doing this not exact. If you want to use your decimals, you'll get a more exact answer because these are big numbers. 18.84, which I am going to use the exact there. That was 6 pi. 6 pi times, each time it goes around, it's going to go around 4,774 times. So 89,987, we'll call it 89,988. 89,988. What is that? It's how far it's going to travel around, so what is it measured in inches. And it's not permitted. We're not talking speed anymore because of rounding. Yeah, because of rounding and decimals. So in 2 minutes, it's going to travel 8,988 inches. But I want to go further. I want to put that in feet. Divide that by 12. In 2 minutes, it travels 7,499, rounded up, feet. What about the, just to where I could tell more about it. But what about this? Could I actually change that to miles? How many feet's a mile? 5,280. Is that over a mile? Sure. If you took and divided that by 5,280, this bug traveled 1.4 miles in 2 minutes time. Could he have hung on? No. If this saw blade is going, if this saw blade is traveling at 2,387 RPMs, 2,387 revolutions per minute, and he's only 3 inches from the center of that saw blade, he travels 1.4 miles in 2 minutes. Any questions?